Can you hear me? Let's try this again this time. Hi, everyone. Bark once if you can hear me. Oh, yay. Hi. Welcome, everyone. I do not have like a whole shebang planned. We are going to read a little smut. Kate, I heard you, or I saw you asking about Fiend, but he never responded. But Fiend, if you're in here and you want to play the male voice to my smut, I would love it. Anyone else too, like if anyone else is down to read the guy narrate the man in the smut, please let me know. And remember, it's really not going to be that awkward because she barely wrote shit. That was like sexual. So don't feel weird. Is there a man in a house? Okay, but also, besides that, I just wanted to talk a little Delphi. I just bought a month subscription to Ancestry Plus newspapers.com, which I've never done in the, I mean, I've used it before, but I've never used it while like looking into Delphi. And I've been having so much fun doing that. So much fun. But I already did find out some like new information to me that I didn't know before. Let me pull it up. Hey, Fiend. Speaking of man. Hey, man. Want to be my man tonight? My voice man? Okay, let's see. Where is what I'm looking for? Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Hey, guys. Okay, so as you can see, this shows Ron Logan. But I was really surprised when I pulled this up because when I Googled this and I pulled this up, I was searching Patrick Brown, right? Because I looked him up and I got like, I have him on Ancestry. I'm like trying to build all their family trees and shit. And I found out Patrick's middle name is Neil, right? So it's Patrick Neil Brown. And I like dug in a little more and I Googled him and his address and his wife, Angel, and Ron Logan popped up. I was like, what the? So look at the 375, or is it 375? Or is it 300? It's one of these. That one right there. 375. Okay, Angel Brown. This is Patrick's wife. And this is obviously Patrick. Why do they share a similar address in common? And I was trying to ask this on Twitter earlier and no one got back to me, but did we already know that? Because remember, I like came into this case like before the trial, so I never really dug in like hugely like all you guys have done all these years. But did we know they shared a property? Not shared it, but like at some point were residents or similar owners to the same property? I didn't know that. Can you guys hear me? Is no one responding? that not weird? And if you so Patrick Brown is one of the first people that came upon Abby and Libby when their bodies were found. Skinny, the question was, did anyone know that Ron Logan and Patrick Brown, the guy who's one of the first that found the bodies, share a property at some point? They're both listed as prior residents or owners. And I don't know, that just really, I was like, what the and I think a lot of us were thinking that, or I was definitely thinking, that William Carbaugh, Sarah Carbaugh's father, it was related to Patrick Brown. He is not. He's not related. So Patrick Brown has a father named Orville Brown, and then William Carbaugh's mom is Pauline Brown. She also had a father named Orville, but not the same Orville. So two totally different Orville Browns are them. So Patrick Brown and Carbaugh, not related at all. So I found that interesting too. At least we can put that to bed, because I believe a lot of us thought there was some relation there. Now, what else was I looking at? Oops. And what else was I digging up? I found out also that William Carbaugh, in my little hunting, owned a photo development place called, what was it called? Fast Photo? Yes, Fast Photo. Okay, so William Carbaugh, Sarah Carbaugh's father, owned a place in Logansport called Fast Photo, where they develop pictures and stuff, which I also found interesting. But that is since closed. He no longer owns that, obviously. That was a long time ago. That was like in the 90s. What do you, I guess, before I get into the smut, I wanted to talk to you guys just about a lot of different things. What's on your guys' mind the most right now when it comes to Delphi and Rick Allen? Besides the obvious, like, let's get him the fuck out of there. Yeah. I'm 38. I'm like, let me go through Ancestry.com and let me build a family tree and let me just, hints. But it's really useful because, like, I brought up all these pictures of all these people that I never saw. Like, I have a picture of Pat Brown when he was young. It's kind of funny. Hold on. I'll show you the trees I'm making. Where was it? This one. That's Pat Brown when he was 15, y'all. Isn't that cute? All right. Now I gotta find that damn book. We are gonna be reading from the same book as last time. Where is it? Where is it? Ollie West. Okay, who is going to be my man? Who's going to be my man tonight? Fiend. Fiend. Okay, so yeah, me too, Brie. That's kind of why I'm focusing on Pat Brown and William Carbaugh. The William Carbaugh thing is very interesting because he was questioned about Evansdale in Delphi. He just so happened to be in the area of Evansdale. Obviously, he lives in Delphi. So that's kind of why I was like random side quest searching them. So that's, yeah, but it's been interesting because Pat Brown has always struck me, and I think it was Veronica. I wish she was in here. Oh, come on, Bean. Veronica was the one that mentioned that I believe it was Veronica that said she had heard that Pat Brown was in Evansdale area as well. So I've been doing a little digging into that. Okay, no Fiend. So I'm just gonna, if no one wants to do it, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it by myself. Fine. One woman show as always. Buy now, bitch. Oh, here we go. Did we stop where? Perfect. Perfect. Bree, I would love you to be my drag queen. You can be on the phone. You can turn off your cam and just be audio. That's fine. Oh my god. There's literally no reason we shouldn't have a time of death, guys. I mean, they weren't even passed away for 24 hours before they were found, and we don't have a better, closer idea just due to like stomach contents or like rigor mortis. Nothing. And it's like, oh, well, we had to do that thing. I think, what were they saying? They had to do something so they. Never mind, I forgot what I was going with that. But anyway, okay, so. Bree, are you going to come up? I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that they try to figure out time of death. And I think it would be very important to notate the difference between whether they died at 2:32 p.m. or 2:32 a.m., which is much more likely. Oh, I got you. Okay, no problem. I'll start. All right, so this week we are back to chapter 4. We are reading Dahlia West Moonlake, book 1, released in 2019 by Kathy Shank's adopted daughter, who, by the way, turns out is a huge racist. I didn't know this. I never looked at her Twitter before, but thought she's a ginormous fucking racist, like blatantly saying the most disgusting shit up front. Oh, you didn't know this either, Mar? Yeah. So, gee, I wonder where she got that from. I wonder where Dahlia West learned how to be racist. I wonder if it was her parents. I wonder if it was Kathy Shank. I wonder if Kathy Shank is a huge fucking racist. It's almost like Kathy Shank would have had a motive to protect the white supremacists. No? Maybe. Maybe. So not only is Kathy a slut, apparently, allegedly, she's also a Nazi. Hey! Oh my god, you made it, Candy! Hey, girl! Hi, Wallen! Okay, let's get going. Brittany Shank? I know she has a daughter and a son, and then Dahlia is the adopted one. And I keep calling her Dahlia because I don't know her real name. All right, chapter 4. Early the next morning, a long, sleek, black Lincoln town car pulled up to the Moon Lake Lodge, and a short, willowy blonde stepped out. Her light pink ballet slippers matched her knee-length pink dress. Cole and Silas were mounting the lodge's front steps to go inside as the car door closed behind her. The blonde's eyes were hidden behind large, round sunglasses. "Hello, handsome," she said, her matching pink lipstick framed perfectly straight. White teeth. Silas turned back toward her and grinned, but it faded quickly as he realized she was gazing up at the lodge. "Oh," he muttered. Cole appeared beside him. "What?" Silas frowned. She was talking to the hotel. Cole eyed her closely. "Who's that?" The blonde moved away from the wooden stairs and stopped short near one of the towering pines that framed the lodge's front entrance. "Hey, V." "Welcome." Silas shrugged. Pretty girl talks to buildings and possibly trees. She shouldn't have heard them, but somehow she had. Silas's grin faltered as she turned toward the two Marines. "I can fly, too," she told them. "That's because I'm a bird." Okay, you're a psycho, too. Silas snorted. "Bird brain," he whispered to Cole. As she approached them, apparently, she'd heard that, too. She tugged down her sunglasses, Chanel, if the gold lettering could be believed, and leveled a hard gaze at Silas. "What the? I'm a raven of the Morgan," she told him. "The goddess of war and violent death. The Phantom Queen." Here we go. Enter the pagan gods and goddesses. Wouldn't be a fucking Carroll County related item if we didn't have to add some gods and goddesses in there. Yes, she does. Who talks like that, by the way? The Phantom Queen. She breezed past them up the steps. The chauffeur was still loading her matching luggage onto the rack with the help of a bellhop. Cole and Silas watched her disappear inside. You know, they say men and women speak an entirely different language, and now I'm sure it's true. They followed her in the lobby where Savannah and Paige were waiting. "Tallulah!" Paige cried and threw her arms around the blonde. Tallulah took off her sunglasses. "I spotted TMZ, Page 6, and possibly PMG camped out at the airport, and it's not even noon." Paige groaned. "It's horrible. They're everywhere." The blonde sniffed. "Cockroaches." Grant entered the lobby from the hallway that led to the manager's office. He glanced at the new arrival as he strode up to Silas and Cole. "The females are speaking in code," Cole told him. "They might be in an independent terrorist cell." Grant eyed the three young women closely. "I'll keep an eye on them, but I don't think there's much potential for mayhem. Not intentionally, anyway." He glanced at Paige. "Look at her. She's a set of bones under some shiny skin." He narrowed his eyes as though he'd just spotted an enemy target. "She's vegan, I can tell. I bet the blonde is, too." "Maybe she's just vegetarian," said Cole. "Lots of girls are vegetarian, Cap. Keeps them thin, makes them feel good about not killing cute baby animals, and lets them have their overpriced lattes." "She's too thin," said Grant. His gaze had swept back to Paige. "Yeah, I agree. You could fatten her up, though, like a steer. Put extra whipped cream on her latte when she orders coffee," said Cole. "That'll help." The blonde stepped up to the front desk. Tallulah Alice Rose Conroy Belmont, she declared. What the? Tallulah Alice Rose Conroy Belmont. Good God. Brianna dropped the phone. It clattered onto the desk. Oh my God, she breathed. Grant watched as the hotel's receptionist struggled to set the receiver back into the cradle. Yes, she spluttered. Yes, ma'am, yes. Her fingers slapped at the keyboard. She had to take a deep breath to calm herself. Okay, I have it. You're in the Northern Lights suite. Tallulah Alice Rose Conroy Belmont lifted one delicate shoulder as though the details held no interest. Is there a view of the lake? She asked, already gazing through the large glass doors to her left. Yes, ma'am, Brianna replied a little too loudly. She passed the blonde a key card tucked into a check-in folder. The three New York socialites didn't wait for the bellhop. They strode towards the antique elevator and stepped inside. Who the hell was that? Grant asked Brianna, who was having trouble sipping her water, still trying to recover. The young girl's eyes widened. That's Tallulah Belmont, she hissed. Grant glanced at Silas and Cole. Both men shrugged. He turned back to Brianna. The receptionist struggled to keep her voice in check. She's the richest girl in the world? She also talks to trees, said Silas. Grant groaned. Great, another one. They were multiplying, like Mogwai. He glanced out this window toward Moon Lake. It must be the water, he thought. Thank you. Thank you. Later that afternoon, Grant, Silas, and Cole were down at the rental cabins. So far, they'd managed to replace the porch's wooden flooring and sand down the wooden frames. Grant infinitely preferred working with his hands to dealing with people, but fate had other plans for him. It seemed when he spotted Paige, Savannah, and the newly arrived Tallulah coming down the trail. He stifled a groan that came out more like a sigh. Both Cole and Silas followed his gaze. I could use a break anyway, said Silas, straightening up. Grant glared at him. Wasn't aware you'd actually started working. Silas smirked at him. Well, someone needs to supervise. He trotted down the freshly waterproof front steps toward the three women. Ladies, how can we help you today? Instead of answering, Paige eyed the empty cabin behind him. What's this? She asked, peering at the open front door. These are rental cabins, Grant answered. They need some sprucing up. Savannah snorted. Or a bulldozer. Grant's jaw twitched, but he said nothing. Silas stretched, making a show of it. He slid the hammer in his hand into his tool belt. Yeah, we're just, building a cabin out in the middle of the woods. He glanced down. I was just about to take my shirt off. Savannah rolled her eyes at him. You're a moron, said Grant. Silas reached into his belt and pulled out a plastic device. He waved it in front of Grant and frowned. Seems to be something wrong. Then he dragged it over his own chest. Beep, beep, beep. He chirped. Oh, yeah, it's working now. Paige frowned at it. What is that? Silas grinned at her. A stud finder. Doesn't seem to work on the cap, though. She licked her lips, and Grant's cock appreciated it. Then the batteries need to be replaced, she said. Silas snorted. Paige ducked her head, blushing furiously. We want to take a boat tour, Tallulah declared, but there isn't anyone in the boathouse. She eyed the worksite over the rim of her sunglasses. You could just give me the keys. Grant did not like the idea of handing this girl the keys to anything, not even the room she was currently occupying. She looked like a walking lawsuit. I'll take you, he announced, rubbing his dirty hands with rag from his back pocket. I'll go too, said Cole. Grant eyed him. Cole shrugged. You might need an extra set of hands. Well then. Uno momento. Yes, that was cock number 1 of the evening, but cock number 2 of the book. We're getting places. The three women walked back up the trailhead, presumably to the docks. Grant watched them go. He had an uneasy feeling that they weren't even on the water yet. Did you hear that, Cap? asked Cole. You're a stud. Grant rolled his eyes. She's been drinking mimosas since breakfast, and she's a guest. It was a joke. Let it go. Silas laughed. The batteries need to be replaced. The batteries in her vibrator need to be replaced. She's probably already worried about a lifetime of inferior civilian cock. Oh, number 3! Cut number 3! She wants to hop on the log ride before she settles for that splinter she's marrying. The last thing Grant needed was to picture her with himself, or worse, with her fiancé. He already wanted those QP doll lips on his shaft. Oh. I didn't know where that was going. QP? Hold on. Did I even pronounce... What is that word? He already wanted those Cupid doll lips on his shaft. He'd choke her with it, though, and she didn't look like she ate meat. Grant reminded himself that it wasn't any of his business what she ate or how much of it. I'm not going to say it again. She's a guest. He finished wiping his hands and adjusted his polo shirt. Not for her, he told himself, but because he was representing the lodge. He glanced at Cole. Fix your shirt, he grumbled. He took the lead and headed towards the docks. He hoped no one ended up in the water, but he couldn't guarantee it. At the docks, Grant and Cole arrived to find all 3 women waiting. What kind of place is this, by the way, where you go and stay at a hotel or a resort or wherever, and you're just like constantly hanging out with the help? Never. Please tell me the last time you guys went to a hotel and you were like, you know what? Every time I'm out of my room, I'm just going to be yucking it up with fucking hotel workers. At the docks, Grant and Cole arrived to find all 3 women waiting. Unfortunately, Landry Emerson and his 2 pals Tweedledum and Dummer were there too. The girls didn't look very happy. He and Cole helped the ladies into the large lake cruiser after the boys jumped on, hooting like idiots. Okay, Popeye, we're ready to push off, Savannah said to Cole as she flounced onto one of the benches. Cole's lips twitched. We were in the Marines, not the Navy. What's the difference? She asked. We get there first, said Cole. Well, then you better stop wasting your time with Savannah, called Landry. Plenty of men have already been there. Not you, the brunette said tightly. Landry glowered at her. Savannah returned his hard gaze until Cole laughed. Then she turned that cutting look on the former Marine. Grant checked the life preservers hanging over the boat's edge, just in case. He motored them out beyond the buoys. It was a bright sunny day with little wind, perfect weather even for early spring. He found them a spot near the sandbar and killed the engine. Landry produced a flask from his jacket pocket. Grant said nothing, but still kept an eye on him. They separated themselves without even discussing it. The men were at the back, listening to loud music on Landry's phone and jumping up and down, making the boat rock. It was impossible to tip over, but not for lack of trying. When the 3 of them realized the women weren't getting seasick, just rolling their eyes from mere annoyance, they settled onto the benches while Landry lit up a cigarette. It was a Marlboro, not a joint, so Grant ignored that too. Oh, because heaven forbid if it was weed. Fucking Carroll County, Indiana. Oh, it's just that thing that causes cancer. That's fine. At the ship's bow, the women were seated and looking out over the water. Paige twisted the sparkling rock around her finger, making it glint in the sunlight. You could always drop it, like in Titanic. Paige jumped at the sound of Savannah's voice. The brunette had moved in beside her. It's Landry's grandmother's ring, she hissed. Savannah snorted. So, she's dead. She won't miss it. She wouldn't have a Ross wearing it, said Paige quietly. Savannah frowned. You're worth more than the whole Emerson family, Paige. Paige shot her friend a sharp look. Savannah shrugged. By the time the Emersons figure out the truth, your wedding photo will be on page 6. She reached out to put an arm around Paige's waist, but the smaller girl shrank away. The brunette frowned. Paige, you don't have to do this. Paige swept her hair from her eyes, focusing on the water that stretched out all around them, an endless gray blue. Should I move in with you? You can if you want. I'm never there anyway, said Savannah. What if I stayed here? Paige asked suddenly. Savannah's eye was widened. In Idaho? Paige turned from her friend to the water, also putting some distance between them. She wished she could just jump in the water and swim all the way to the bottom and just live there. Why not? Grant snorted as he watched the Ross girl turn her back on her friend. Cold as ice, that one, he told himself, when she wasn't blushing furiously at every damn thing he said. Maybe it was just her way of making fun of him. Couldn't get an editor to save your life. He had no talent for polite conversation. She didn't have to remind him of it every time she got the chance, though. Uppity, he thought, just like her mom. From his perch above, accessible only by ladder, Grant and Cole sat in the captain and the co-pilot chairs. No way was Grant giving up the seat to Landry. Surely the green weenie would crash them into the sandbar if he had half a chance. We're on a boat with a bunch of sea hags, he said to Cole. Just then, Paige turned and looked up at them. Do you have anything to drink? She called. Just water, Cole replied and started down the ladder. He grabbed a bottle from a hidden refrigerator underneath one of the benches. As he approached Savannah, she had a tube of lipstick in her hand. Cole laughed. Only a girl from New York would worry about that way out here. Only a girl from New York would worry about that way out here. Her gaze jerked to him. What? She asked. Cole plucked the tube from her and turned the bottom up. He snorted. Pussy power. Savannah reached out and snatched it back from him. Then she tossed it into the lake. Cole stared at her for a moment. You know I don't have cooties. That was last year's shade. She took a water bottle from his hand and opened it. She looked at him and she took a long sip. Your hair's better, she told him finally. It's even, at least, but it would look better longer. Cole frowned. You're into that long-haired hippie look? Should I dye it different colors too? No, just enough hair to hold on to when I sit on your face works for me, she shrugged. But you cut your hair short, so there's that. Then she sauntered away, drink in hand, bottled water sparkling in the sunlight. Cole looked at Grant, bewildered, then climbed back up to the upper deck. Did you hear what she just said to me? Yep, and you can't say a damn thing back to her because she's a guest. It's your job to zip it. Just make sure she doesn't fall overboard. Cole snorted. Fall? I'm about to push her. Grant gave him a cutting look. I'd go in after her. Cole sniffed. After a few minutes. He clearly hadn't learned his lesson because he climbed back down the ladder to the boat's bow, sliding up next to the jellyfish that had already stung him. She was lounging like she owned the boat, one arm slung over the brass railing. Don't touch the water, Cole told Savannah. Wouldn't want it to freeze. She glared at Cole so hard Grant had to check the water for an iceberg. Yeah, that was the most aggressive thing I've read thus far. And of course, it came from the woman. By late afternoon, they'd all make it back to shore without the help of the local rescue station. Grant thought that boded well. Landry was loud and slurring his words, but he seemed to be able to walk well enough to not fall on or off the boat. He did misjudge the jump from the boat to the dock, and one of his overpriced tennis shoes came up dripping. The dumbass wasn't even wearing socks. Grant suppressed the urge to push him in the rest of the way. Babysitting duties were over, and it wasn't until that evening at dinner that Grant once again spotted the New York wedding party in the lodge's restaurant. Paige ordered a salad, and Cole wagged his eyebrows at Grant when he placed the ticket on the kitchen counter. Grant sniffed. Vegetarian. She barely even touched the salad she'd ordered and declared herself finished just a few moments later. Grant spied all the croutons hiding under a large leaf. He shook his head while Cole shook a can of what Paige had just ordered. Leave her alone, Grant muttered. It's not our problem. Oh, come on, Cap. You know you'd like to see a few more pounds on her, especially up top. Grant narrowed his eyes at the man. 1, don't look at her chest. 2, it's none of your business that she eats like a bird. Cole grinned. I thought we weren't supposed to look at her. It's hard to miss, Grant muttered. He placed the coffee and a few fresh water glasses on his tray and headed out into the dining area. They'd had a few call-outs, so Cole, Silas, and Grant had to fill in for the waitstaff. Grant crossed the dining room and set down the tray next to the girl's table. He set the cappuccino down in front of Paige. Somehow, in Grant's absence, Landry had appeared. He dragged over a chair from a nearby table and was making himself a nuisance among the women. "Why would you order that?" Landry scolded as he eyed the drink. Paige's eyes widened. I didn't say anything about extra whipped cream." Landry pursed his lips. "Well, did you order no cream?" Paige's mouth clamped shut. Landry sighed dramatically. "You know our wedding photos are going to go viral. I hope you don't look fat. For the world to see. Could you maybe show a little discipline, Pudge?" "Oh, I beat his ass." "Girl!" I refuse to believe any woman would marry this. Grant eyed the untouched bread, the salad with no dressing, and the lemon water, but said nothing. It wasn't his business. Running the hotel was his business, and arguing with the guests, the paying customers, wasn't worth the risk. "So, ladies," said Cole as he arrived to the table, "does anyone want dessert?" Grant shook his head vehemently and started shoving empty plates into the man's hands. "Not now." Paige shoved her chair back and fled out of the restaurant. Grant felt sorry for her as he watched her beat a hasty retreat. Anywhere else, any other time, he would have clocked the green weenie. But now he was a respectable member of society, or a reasonable Phasmiel of one. He gathered the water glasses and the untouched coffee and headed back to the kitchen. Cole found Savannah in the lobby near the elevator. "Hey, is your friend okay?" The brunette rolled her eyes and turned to leave. Cole snagged her elbow gently. "I mean it. I want to know. I heard about what that asshole said to her. That's bullshit. She's not fat. If anything, she's so thin a hard gust of wind might blow her into the lake. And I'm sorry I laughed at Landry's stupid jokes earlier." Savannah smirked at him. "Men are pigs." "Now is that a fat joke?" he teased. She eyed him closely. "I don't know. Can I pinch an inch?" Cole grinned. "You can pinch 7. She eyed him closely, smirking at him. "You're lying." "2 things I never lie about, guns or bullets." Savannah swirled her glass. Evidently, no one from the restaurant had stopped her from leaving with her drink in her hand. She looked up at him with her dark brown eyes. "Is it my patriotic duty to fuck you?" Cole grinned. "Just lie back and think of New England." She laughed and touched his arm. "Careful," came a voice from behind them. Landry had slithered over. Damn, we were getting somewhere. Savannah's smile evaporated instantly. Landry shivered. "If you stick your dick in her, I'll break it off like an icicle." "Oh, fuck you, Landry." Savannah started to move toward him, but Cole grabbed her arm. "Hey now," he said, "there's no need to fight." They were still on the ground floor, just off the lobby. A fight here was bad for business. Hey, Indy. Hey, Indy Sandy. We are reading Kathy Shank's Adopted Daughters book that is supposed to be erotica, but it spends much of the time talking about shit that don't make sense and isn't interesting at all. So there's that. But alas, here we are. The elevator door slid open. Landry stomped toward it. "You're drunk as fuck," he sneered as he passed. Just as the door slid shut, he added, "Like mother, like daughter, I guess." Savannah lunged again, but this time Cole held her firmly. Her foot kicked the empty glass on the carpet. It rolled until it bumped into the now-closed car door. "Asshole!" she hissed. The second car arrived and Cole pushed her inside. He jabbed the closed door button, then pushed the debutante up against the mirrored wall. "Hey," he said, "calm down." She shook her head and tried to shove him away, but even at 6 feet tall, she was no match for the Marine in front of her. Cole pinned her easily against the wall. His hand tucked under her chin, his fingertips dragged over her jawline. She tried to glare at him, ward him off with her New York edge, but his fingers slid over her skin like he owned it, like he owned her. The car slowed as her pulse quickened. The door slid open. Light, safety, seemed to emanate from it. "What do you want, Savannah?" She held her breath as she gazed up into his impossibly green eyes. Then she ducked under his arm and darted into the hallway. Cole let her go because she was drunk. He pressed one large hand against the door to hold it open as he watched her head to her door. She wasn't running. No, she wouldn't give him that. But it was obvious he'd scared her. Or she'd scared herself. After a failed attempt, she shoved the car into the key reader properly and pushed open the door. She glanced down the hallway, back toward the elevator. Cole grinned at her. She pressed her lips together firmly and stepped inside her hotel room. Though there were 2 doors and a hallway between them, she was trapped. Chapter 5. Yeah. Yeah. God, I wish it was one of those kind of books. And be lit. She ain't said cock in a while. I mean, chapter 5, and the best we've got is talking about sitting on someone's face. And an erection. Chapter 5. The next morning, the wedding party had booked a guided hike up the hot springs. Grant, Cole, and Silas found most of the city slickers in the lobby, fitting with their gear. The Marines had nothing but their water bottles and their survival knives. Grant silently wondered how they were going to haul 200 pounds of designer luggage up the trailhead. Do you really need all this? He asked, eyeing the kids and their crap. Before anyone could respond, Grant heard a chirp, or a squeak. Perhaps a squeal. Some kind of annoying noise that could only emanate from an equally annoying female. Room for one more? He turned to find a blonde. A different blonde. A new blonde. Oh God, they really were multiplying. He wondered what would happen if the kitchen fed them after midnight. Then he looked at the Ross girl, assuming she ever ate at all. What are you doing here? Savannah snapped. This blonde had short, perfectly coiffed, pixie-cut hair and long, shiny nails. She had a tiny backpack with 2 tiny straps that couldn't possibly hold more than a stick of chewing gum. Everything about her said liability. The blonde narrowed her eyes at Savannah. I was invited. Bullshit you were. The blonde pulled a large phone out of her tiny backpack and tapped the screen. Landry said I should come. She pointed to a text message. Oh, hell no. Who are you inviting? Savannah snorted. That's not a wedding invitation, Chloe. Just then, the elevator dinged. Paige stepped off, dressed marginally more effectively, Grant noticed. She froze when she looked up to find the blonde pixie standing in the lobby. Savannah darted across the room toward her friend. The brunette whispered in hushed, furious tones. Paige finally held up a hand. She gathered the straps on her own bag, then raised her chin, and marched across the lobby toward the rest of the group. By Grant's calculation, he and Cole could break up the impending catfight. Cole could grab the pixie. Grant would wrap up Paige, take her out the back door. Once the screaming started, they'd have to move fast. He could get someone from the kitchen to, Sorry I'm late, said Paige. Are we ready to go? She ignored this Chloe girl entirely. Grant was impressed. I'm coming too, said Chloe, because apparently Muddy couldn't buy class. Even Cole shook his head. Grant hoped this girl didn't break a nail and need to be choppered to Boise. Landry turned to Grant and gave him a shitting grin. What's that job where you end up doing things you don't want to do, but people are paying you to do it, so you pretty much have to do it? Prostitute, said Savannah, but she was glaring at Chloe. The bleached blonde's lips parted in surprise. Landry laughed. Nature guide, so here, he said, tossing a bag at Grant. If he hadn't been a paying customer, Grant would have let it tumble to the ground. Instead, he caught it with one hand. See, cried Landry. They're eminently qualified to carry our stuff. It's not even as heavy as what they're used to. This is like a vacation to guys like them, right? He grinned a shitting grin and then turned out to the side door. His friends in the bleached blonde scurried to catch up with him. Paige stayed behind, looking sympathetically at Grant. You know what? She said, I drink a lot of water when I'm out, so I'm probably going to need this bag. This one right here. She reached out and plucked the strap of the white beach bag. So I'll just take this for my water. Oh, and my mom's been so busy arranging all the final details. She might call, and if she does, I would need to talk to her. So I'll take this. I'll just take this. She took a smaller pink bag from Grant as well. She smiled at him and headed outside. On the trail, Cole fell into step beside Grant. "Aw," he said quietly. "She's carrying her own purse, Cap. She doesn't want to overburden you with her giant pussy purse." Pussy purse? It's large and it's pink. She can wear it on her head and march on Washington. He glanced at Grant. I bet she's liberal. Oh, God. I'm going to need to be a little more high for this. We're gonna get into the racist, small town Nazi loving chick writing about how much liberals suck. And I'm gonna need to definitely take a moment right now. Oh, it is so dumb, Indy. The only reason we're doing it is might be so dumb it's funny. We'll see. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Don't worry, you guys didn't miss anything. Okay. Sorry. Easy now, Cap. Remember, we fought for his freedom to be a total dickhead. Cole grunted. I didn't fight for him. His head cocked to the side as his gaze zeroed in on the tall brunette climbing the hill in front of them. I fought for that ass, though, I sure did. Yeah, I needed a moment. Sorry, guys. It's all taken care of now. Grant's gaze flicked to the mouse now struggling up the hill with the bags on her shoulders. Inadvertently, his gaze dropped to her ass. Feeling a pang of guilt, but not much one, he noted. He sniffed. Her ass was too small, far too bony, which meant she was far too scrawny to be carrying all that shit up the third steepest hill of the resort. When they finally reached the cauldron, Savannah and Tallulah shimmied out of their outerwear. Both women were wearing bikinis. God bless America, Cole muttered as he watched. The bleached blonde Chloe wore a suit at least 2 sizes too small, probably because it was the only one that would fit in her ridiculously small bag. Her tits threatened to spill out of her bright red top. Grant wouldn't have minded it, but he was curious to see what Paige had on. When he turned to look, though, Paige had spread out a blanket and sat down, pulling out a paperback. Who brings a book to the woods? Asked Silas. Cole frowned. A woman who's never been fucked right in her whole life. Grant dropped Landry's Louis Vuitton onto the dirt and moved toward Paige, telling himself he was merely checking the perimeter. He stopped beside her, though, and peered down at her. Can you swim? He asked her. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe she needed a lesson. Paige shaded her eyes with one hand and looked up at him. Yes, but I'd rather not walk back to the hotel soaked, she said. Her lips formed a thin line. He wondered if she was lying. Grant walked away, headed back over to where Cole and Silas were standing. Water not warm enough? Asked Cole. Did you explain that it's a hot spring? Too prissy to get wet, said Grant. I'm not, said Cole. Can I get in? Negative. We're babysitting. Patrol the perimeter as instructed. You're no fun. That's why I'm the boss. Cole glowered. I have to walk the perimeter while you stare at the chicks in bathing suits? Grant rolled his eyes. Walk it once, then we'll switch. Fair enough? Might as well let you gawk. It's as close as you're gonna get to that brunette. Don't go taking pictures of her with your phone, though. We don't need a lawsuit on our hands. Cole sauntered away, and Grant watched him go. Then his gaze settled on Paige again. Without realizing it, his feet had already started to move. He stopped just a few feet from her as she sat on a flat rock in the sunshine. At least she'd given up the pretense of reading. It was probably hard to concentrate with the bleached blonde screeching like a banshee. Still not getting in? He asked her. Paige shook her head. I don't have a bathing suit. Grant looked at the hot springs and snorted. Neither does she. Chloe was laughing like a hyena, clearly needing attention about as much as oxygen. Paige's mouth tightened. What am I supposed to do? Get mad at him for looking? Everyone else is. She glanced up at him. You are. Grant bristled. I am not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. I noticed her, he said firmly in a low voice. Because it's my job to notice her, but I'm not looking at her. He was looking at Paige, and he wasn't trying to hide it. She shook her head. I don't have a suit. My luggage got lost. That's right. I forgot. Still no sign of it? She shook her head again. Are we safe up here? I mean, are we in danger of being attacked by a bear or something? That's probably not going to happen, he told her. It's mostly squirrels. I once saw a badger, but, if anyone asks, it's all wolves and moose and saber-toothed tigers up here. Paige covered her eyes from the sun. How did the saber-toothed tigers get here? The Bering Strait? She laughed, and Grant was glad to see it. Is there a woolly mammoth, too? She asked. No, that's just me in the winter when I don't shave. Her smile widened. Between you and me, I've always wanted to do that. Grant's eyebrows rose. What, not shave? She nodded. For the winter. In fact, Landry's supposed to stay on his side of the hotel until the wedding, so I might just stop. So if you're out and about and you think you see a Sasquatch, make sure it can't quote Hamlet before you shoot. This time Grant laughed. Then he caught sight of Cole heading back toward them. I've got to walk the perimeter, he told her. Impulsively, he added, do you want to come with me? I mean, if you're just sitting here, it's a good view. Paige hesitated and glanced over her shoulder at her fiancé and his friends. Grant expected her to say no, but she looked back at him and nodded. Let me get my shoes on. She covered up her cute feet, which was a bit of a shame, and slid on her hiking shoes. When they were far enough away from the others, Grant gave her a long sideways look. Listen, Paige, I'm sorry about last night. She frowned and ducked her head, avoiding his gaze. She was good at avoiding, he decided. Could we just not talk about it? She asked. He sighed. Technically, the customer was always right. I screwed up, she told him. My fault. I cheated. I knew I should have ordered the coffee properly, black, but I still drank it when I knew it had too much whipped cream. That's on me. And Landry's right. I was being childish. She smiled up at Grant. Anyway, in a few days I can eat whatever I want for the rest of my life, because they'll be stuck with me, right? Grant couldn't bring himself to smile at the joke. Neither could she for very long. So are the shoes new? He asked, changing the subject. Paige looked down at her feet. I've had them for 5 years, actually. I just don't get out of the city much. It was easier when I was in school. Spring, summer, and winter break. Not fall, though. Fall's the best time to be in New York. I know it's cliche, but it's true. Oh, it's so boring. I'm so bored. It's so boring. How are we at 48 pages of nothing? Jesus Christ. They reached the top of the embankment overlooking the cauldron. Wait. Where was I? Okay, yeah. Paige's friends were enjoying the hot springs while Cole and Silas were looking on, probably hoping for a nip slip, thought Grant. Are you sure there are no bears up here, though? Paige asked him. Grant grimaced. He didn't want to scare her. Rare, but it happens, usually in a drought, when food's scarce. They come down off the mountain foraging. It's why we have rules about food and hiking. She ducked her head sheepishly. Sorry. It's okay. She shielded her eyes and turned around to see Moon Lake. It's so beautiful up here, she said. I bet it's beautiful at sunset. Grant couldn't remember last time he'd been up here, and there had never been anything quite like the New York socialite he was seeing now. How had he thought she was plain or mousy? Skittish, sure, but there was something about her. Paige scanned the entire horizon, looking mystified. Her eyes landed on Grant. His lips twitched. Busted. Drought? She asked quietly. He sniffed. I wouldn't call it a drought. I was busy. There was the mission. She turned back to face him fully, looking puzzled. You said bears come down off the mountain when there's been a drought. Has there been a drought? He was quiet, his lips forming a straight, hard line as he regarded her and his own stupidity. You could say that. He could not believe they were having this conversation. I don't even know what conversation they're having right now. I don't even know what they're talking about right now. Holy shit. What the fuck are they even talking about right now? How are you such a bad writer that you can't even write conversation that makes sense? What the fuck? All right, where am I? He could not believe they were having this conversation. In fact, they were going to do a lot more than that if he didn't get away from her. Get your stuff together, he told her. It's time to head back. She reached down, grabbed the handles of her backpack, and then stood upright. Ready to go, she said with a smile. I pack light compared to my mom. Grant's jaw twitched. She looked like a pack mule with dysentery. Dysentery? Back at the cauldron, Landry spotted them coming down the path. Here, come here, Paige. Grant watched as the girl scurried toward her fiancé like a half-tame rabbit they'd encountered on the trail. Half-tame because she looked a little skittish. He wasn't surprised she was nervous about being out in the woods. You left, Landry accused, and you left my bag just laying around. Paige blinked at him. But it's only us up here. Where would it go? I only wanted my water bottle with me. The green weenie gave her a hard look. Paige swallowed hard. Never mind. I'm sorry. I'll take it. He lobbed it at her the same way he had done to Grant. This time, Paige barely caught it. She wrestled with it until she could sling it over her shoulder. Grant reached for the strap. That's okay, she said. It's not even as heavy without the food. She shied away from him, moving out of his reach. Don't, she pleaded quietly. It's fine. It's totally fine. A few seconds later, Landry whirled around. He reached for the backpack, and Grant thought maybe he'd underestimated the kid. Maybe he just had some growing up to do. Maybe he was about to do the right thing. Instead, the kid yanked the buckle on the top flap, reached up, and shoved his half-empty water bottle inside. Carry that for me, he said, and abruptly stalked away from her, continuing down the hill. Paige sighed and started back down the hill. Cole and Grant brought up the rear. You know, said Cole, we could push him over the edge of the cliff. No one would know as long as we kept our story straight. Grant shook his head. In 2 days, he's getting married. Then he's her problem. He glanced at Paige, struggling to sling her pink pussy purse back over her shoulder. He marched over, yanked it from her, and then stomped off with it before she could argue. Silas grinned as Grant approached. Grant's eyes narrowed to slits. You say one fucking word and I'll throw your ass over the cliff. Oh, God. Oh, don't worry. You haven't. You haven't. Good God. All right. We're going to chapter 8. I'm doing 4 chapters each time, by the way. Grant stood in the restaurant's kitchen, eyeing the spoon Anthony was holding out to him. It's house-made vegetarian vegetable soup, said the chef. Grant blinked at him. Isn't vegetable soup good enough? Anthony shook his head. Vegetable soup is made with beef broth. Grant narrowed his eyes. That's probably the only reason I like it. This, said Anthony, is a vegetarian vegetable for the vegetarian option we're adding in the menu. Grant peered into the stock pot, frowning. Anthony nodded encouragingly. Go on, I think I nailed it. We're also adding it to the house menu tonight for a trial run. Grant's brows shot up. Anthony recoiled. With your permission. He gulped. Sir. The large Marine grunted and picked up a spoon. He snared enough the soup to taste it. He locked eyes with the younger chef as he brought the concoction to his lips. It wasn't bad, to be honest, he thought as he tasted it, but he kept glaring at the kid over the steaming pot, just to keep him on his toes. Well, asked Cole. Grant waited, then frowned. It tastes like conformity. He left the chef alone to update the menu and exited the restaurant into the long hallway that spanned the rear of the hotel. Ahead of him, he saw Paige Ross walking toward him. I couldn't find your mother, Grant told her as he approached. He didn't add that he hadn't tried very hard to look. He handed her the unsealed envelope from his back pocket. It's the estimate for the final bill. She looked around as though she needed help. Certainly, her mother was nowhere nearby. Chewing nervously on her bottom lip, she reached out and took it from him. Thank you, she said quietly. She turned from him and stepped into the alcove by the nearest window. Grant watched as she pulled the itemized bill out and began to read it. She looked pale. Her hands were shaking. She looked close to tears. Grant stifled a sigh. Princess Panic Attack was apparently afraid of her own shadow. Hold on. I lied. We're going to go to chapter 7. For some reason, these are like way longer. He wanted to ask her if she was okay, but what if she said no? What would he do? He remained where he was when he saw her tiny blonde friend moving toward them from the doors of the restaurant. Paige, the girl asked, what's wrong? For a moment, the mousy girl didn't respond. Her lower lip trembled. What's that? Asked Tallulah, craning her neck to see. The bill, whispered Paige. Tallulah frowned. We're broke, said Paige suddenly. That's why we're here and not in New York. That's why my mom chose the hotel. It's not because my grandparents were married here. I mean, they did get married here right after the war, but I'm not sure my mom even liked my grandparents that much. She chose it because the brochure looked nice. She ducked her head. And the price looked even nicer, she added quietly. Her eyes scanned the printed bill. Grant could see tears beginning to well up. Instead of turning to him, she looked at her friend. Tallulah, she said, pleadingly. Help me, please. Grant watched as the petite blonde moved forward and took the estimate from Paige. She barely glanced at it before turning to Grant. Few drill sergeants could deliver such a sharp, in-command look as this tiny creature. There will be no dinner reception, she informed him. We'll have a late afternoon reception on the water. Gas is cheaper than champagne. We'll bring in the wine from that local vintner on the other side of the valley. So no band, no champagne fountain, no centerpieces, no tables and chairs or tent rental. You have staff that can accommodate that? I'll provide the boat. I can have one delivered by tomorrow. Grant nodded, mentally listing off himself, Cole, Silas, and several of kitchen staff and day laborers that he thought he could trust to take a bunch of rich, drunk assholes out onto the lake. His jaw twitched, though, as he thought about the lost income from the catering contract. He needed the money from the event, and Tallulah's plan had just cut him off at the knees. They'd break even with all the cleaning and repainting the restaurant they'd had to do when he first took over. That would have had to have been enough anyway, though, and it seemed wrong to punish Paige for Morrison's incompetence. So Grant would treat her like any other guest who bailed on their room reservation, keep the deposit, and not quibble about the details. I'll print up another estimate, he told her. Tallulah nodded sharply, the same way Grant would do to any of his troops. It was clear she was used to having her orders followed. Didn't plan on buying the old gal. Paige looked a tiny bit relieved. Grant was happy that no tears had actually fallen. Thank you, she cried, throwing her arms around her friend just as Savannah walked up and joined them. Assuming you still want to get married? Tallulah peered at her friend closely. It's a lot cheaper to just call the whole thing off, Paige. We could hop on a train, just leave all this behind. Paige blinked at her. Call it off? Why would I call it off? Tallulah was silent while Savannah groaned and rolled her eyes. The blonde shot the Amazon a hard look before turning back to Paige. I'm not telling you what to do, or who to marry or when. I'm just offering you options. Paige shook her head. I can't call it off. The invitations are sent. People are showing up every day. The rehearsal dinner is tonight. The wedding's tomorrow, Tallulah. She started hyperventilating. Instead of being angry or annoyed, as Grant himself might have been, the blonde simply gave her friend a sympathetic look. You think I wouldn't take care of you? I know you would, Tallulah, but everything's fine. Everything will be fine. Everything's fine. I just need the wedding to be cheaper. That's all. Everything's totally fine. Grant wondered how many times she would have to repeat that before she ever actually believed it, or he did. But it wasn't any of his business. She was just a guest. I'm sorry for your trouble, she said to him. I'm sorry for yours. He did feel sorry for her. Grant left her in the alcove and headed back into the kitchen. She seemed like a good girl trapped in a bad situation. Unfortunately, hers was about to last forever. Grant checked and double-checked the soup and salad starters lined up on the pass, ready to be served. The Ross Emerson rehearsal dinner was his own personal mission. He'd overseen every detail down to the little cards on each clean dinner plate. It was as important to him as any Marine Corps mission. Lives weren't at stake tonight, but livelihoods were. And that mattered to him almost as much. When he left the kitchen to check that the restaurant's doors were open and signage pronouncing tonight's private soiree was in place, he spotted Paige in the lobby. She was standing near the fireplace, alone, looking at the large ornate carving. Grant locked the double doors in place, open and invited, assuming you had an invitation, and headed over to her. This is amazing, she told him when he stopped next to her. I've never seen anything like this. There are three, Grant replied. The fireplace and the bar and the restaurant. Where's the other carving? She asked him, looking up at him with those pink lips and those wide brown eyes. In my apartment, he told her without thinking. She blushed. Oh, I guess I won't be seeing it then. He didn't answer. Seemed safer that way. If this girl ever found her way into his apartment, Grant might never let her out. Best to keep a good distance between them. I think everyone's probably already seated by now, he declared, glancing up at the restaurant's doors across the lobby. She said, looking dubiously at the double doors. I think I'd rather go outside. I need some fresh air first. She turned away from the restaurant and moved toward one of the glass doors leading to the back deck. Without thinking about it, Grant reached out and grasped the handle to hold it open for her. She seemed surprised at the gesture. Grant recalled then that he'd never seen the green weenie open a door for her. Thank you, she told him, and sounded sincere. He nodded and waited for her to step through. Outside, the waves on the lake lapped the sandy shoreline. The sound was pleasant, even in the dark. Paige stepped up to the railing and put her hands on the heavy wood. It's so beautiful here. Grant wasn't certain whether she was talking to him or herself, so he kept quiet. I wish I could just stay here, she whispered. Grant didn't reply, but he appreciated the sentiment. Out here, the crescent moon had razor-sharp edges. The sky was so clear that the stars glittered like hard diamonds. It was nice at the lodge, but up on the trailhead, the view was better. Up there, away from the lights of the hotel, it was easy to forget everything. Marriage, the Marine Corps. He kept his mouth firmly shut, though. He had nothing to offer her. Well, she said slowly, I guess it doesn't get more fashionably late than this. With shaky hands, she smoothed down the front of her dress. It might have been navy, hard to tell in the dark. It looked black to Grant's eye. More like a dress appropriate for a funeral. When she looked up at him, it seemed that was exactly where she was headed. She gave him a tiny, forced smile. Grant held the door open for her again. Green Wiener is Landry, the fiancé, and it kills me that I know that. Kills me. The dinner went off without a hitch, at least with only a few entries being returned to the kitchen. Anthony swore it was the snooty New York crowd and not his cooking that was the problem. After examining the returned plates, Grant agreed. Don't worry about it, he told the younger man. Anthony seemed visibly relieved. Don't refire any more entries, Grant told the chief. If they want to keep complaining, let them do it to me. The chef nodded and Grant ducked out of the kitchen through the back door, exiting via the rear deck so he wouldn't interrupt the guests. He was surprised to find Paige outside again. She was out on the furthest point on the deck, overlooking the water. She turned and headed towards him before spotting him. When she did, she smiled. Grant couldn't keep himself from returning the expression, but then she stumbled. "Oh, I think my heel's caught." "I got it," said Grant, crossing to her. He knelt in front of her, took a hold of her ankle with one hand, and slid his hand under her shoe with the other. Then he pulled it up, out from between the two boards where it had become wedged. He ran his hands over her ankle. She shivered. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded. Yes, I'm fine." She had a champagne glass in one hand and placed her other on his shoulder to steady herself while she slipped on her shoe. "Sorry," he muttered as he stood up, a bit on the older side. The shoes were ridiculously spiked affairs that were as thin as needles, but the boards were gapped a bit more out here. Years of water damage. Suddenly, the board beneath them gave out a groan. It sagged for a moment, but thankfully it didn't buckle. Paige pitched forward, though, unsteady on her high heels. "Oh!" she gasped as she grabbed at Grant's arms to steady herself. A few drops of champagne splashed from her glass onto his sleeve. He frowned and glanced down at the treacherous flooring. "And let go in a few places," he admitted. Paige steadied herself on her heels and slowly lifted her gaze to his, her eyes moving from the wooden decking up his legs and over his torso. She let out a long sigh. "Oh, it doesn't look like anything's been let go," she murmured. Grant felt a jolt as her eyes met his. She started, perfect pink lips popping open in surprise. "Oh, my God," she hissed. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, I guess I did mean, oh, God, I shouldn't have said that." Grant shook off his own surprise and squeezed her arms tight slightly. Then he looked down at the glass in her hand. "How many of those have you had?" Paige blinked at him, then down at her half-empty glass. "One," she replied. "And a half?" she added, lifting the glass slightly. He chuckled. 1.5. Maybe you should lay off the hard stuff." He grinned as her cheeks flushed to match her painted lips. "I'm sorry," she repeated, shaking her head. Her dark brown hair framed her face perfectly, falling just to her bare shoulders. She took a step back, letting go of his arm. Grant was surprised to discover he didn't want to let her go. He reached out and placed his fingertips on her upper arm. "Be careful," he said, gesturing to the floor with his other hand. It was as good an excuse as any to keep touching her. He hadn't been this close to a woman this delicate in a very, very long time. He liked the feel of her warm skin on his fingertips. She shivered. "Here," he said, pulling away from her just long enough to unbutton his suit jacket. "Oh, no, she said. "I couldn't," she trailed off, looking pained. "It's cold out here," Grant reminded her. "If you're going to be out here, you need to put something on." He winced as he realized his mistake. He'd just given her an out. Take his jacket or go back inside the restaurant. They both knew what she would do. For a moment, she looked unsure, though. Grant suppressed a sigh. His fingers switched, and he was about to turn and reach for the door. Instead, Paige's nervous hand shot out and took a hold of his jacket lapel. "Thank you," she said quietly. Grant merely nodded as he held it open for her to shrug it on. As she lifted her arm for the other sleeve, he reached for the glass. "I can," he said, but she lifted it to her lips and swallowed the rest of the contents of the glass before handing it to him. She giggled and touched her tiny nose. "The bubbles." He smiled and took the glass. "Living dangerously. 2 whole glasses. I guess I should keep you away from the lampshades." She laughed again, and Grant realized he liked the sound, but she was definitely tipsy. He wasn't that funny on his best day, but she was looking at him like he was. She reached out and steadied herself on the railing. Then suddenly she turned to him. "Do you think—" She stumbled again in those ridiculous heels. This time Grant caught her. Slowly her hand slid down his arm. Her delicate fingers ran over his calloused hand. "It feels the same," she murmured. Grant's lips twitched. "You mean it feels like decades-old burled wood?" She gasped. "What? No." He grinned. "I'm kidding." Her lips were still parted in a perfect pink O before she blushed to match her lipstick and ducked her head. "You're teasing me again." "You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. I will never tease you again. You have my word." Whatever that was worth, he thought suddenly, darkly. He frowned and jerked his gaze to the water. Paige looked up at the man beside her, puzzled. One minute he was kind, charming, funny, even. Then the next he seemed to remember he despised her. She glanced at the dark waters of Moon Lake and wanted to jump in. She stopped herself, though, and straightened her shoulders. "Well, good night then, Mr. Daniels," she declared, probably too loudly. She hurried to the glass door, this time making sure to put her weight on the balls of her feet so her heels didn't touch the ground. The last thing she needed was to fall flat on her face in front of the man who didn't like her. Would he laugh? Landry certainly would. Thankfully, Grant didn't follow her as she hurried through the nearly empty lobby. She slipped out of his jacket and laid it on the check-in counter as she went. She jabbed at the elevator button and closed her eyes in relief when the door whispered shut and she was finally alone. The door whispered shut? Good God. Paige made certain she was safely ensconced in her suite before she let herself cry. She hadn't intended to let it happen. She was just glad she hadn't done it earlier in front of Landry and all their friends. Or Grant Daniels. The gruff Marine glared at her every time she so much as sniffled. She had her traitorous shoes off, but not the dress, when there was a sharp knock on her suite door. Paige checked the peephole, and her stomach dropped. There was another sharp knock. More of a bang this time. Paige knew if she didn't open it, Landry would only lose his temper. He might even wake the whole floor if she didn't respond. She reached for the knob and barely twisted it before her fiancé shoved it open, hitting her in the arm. He breezed past her and entered the room. Huh, he said. Thought for sure you'd be slutting it up with the old man. Paige grimaced but kept her mouth shut. She could tell Landry was drunk. If he passed out now, he might not even wake up in time for the wedding in the morning. Secretly, she hoped he wouldn't. You shouldn't be here, she said quietly, trying to set an example. But Landry's voice came back too loud, the way it always did when he was intoxicated. Don't worry, he said with a laugh. No one wants to see you before the wedding or after. If he did, he'd be here. She gasped at him. I'm kidding. It was a joke. He didn't look happy, though. The lines around his mouth were too hard. You used to laugh at my jokes. You used to be funny, she lied. He narrowed his eyes at her. She was stepping into dangerous waters now, and she knew it. Her heart began to thud in her chest as she snorted up one of his lines of coke. Landry didn't like it when anyone pointed out his faults. I'm sick of this, Landry, and I'm sick of you. It's time for you to go. You're not supposed to see me before the wedding, and I think, hang on. She wasn't listening, though. She was already headed for the door to kick him out. Hey, I said, wait a minute. In the full-length mirror attached to the closet door just ahead of her, Paige saw Landry reaching for her from behind. This time, he didn't grab her arm. This time, he grabbed a handful of her hair. Wait, what? Is he about to do? Oh, no. No. Oh, okay. We'll do. This is super short, so we'll just do this. I thought he was about to start whooping that ass. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh shit. What? What do you mean? Why is Prof in here? What? Hi. Hi, babe. Is that? Are you kidding? That's a joke, right? That's not real, right? 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 Is he actually? Oh, okay. I was like, what? I was like, oh, fuck no. Ew. Hold on, let me pull out my mean girl shit real quick. Are you guys fighting? What? I thought you got along with everyone, Sian. What's going on? I always got a minute for the drama. Should we have a therapy sesh, guys? Just get it all out. He posted your email address. Why? Actually, why'd you email him? Yeah. Hey, Sian, tell me this story. Yeah? You wanna? You wanna? You wanna? I wanna. Come on up. Come on down. You got it, babe. Actually, I'm shocked you're not already a mod. My bad. I suck at that. Ugh. What? I can't hear your voice? Fine. No drama. God. It's all good. More action than the book. Show. Turn me up. Ted, the Fed. Can we talk about this? Does no one else get a weird vibe there? Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. Oh boy. Oh God. Oh no. Here we go, guys. Oh boy. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I am not saying that I support this or that I have anything to do with this right now. I am just supporting my friend and his blog. Okay? I am supporting my friend and his blog. No, just kidding. Cian, I don't give a fuck. These fools do not. The only reason I am well behaved is for the sake of other people. Because let me tell you, if it was all on me, I would make these fuckers cry in 10 seconds flat. They're fucking with the wrong one when it comes to me, sweetie. The wrong one. All right, but I do kind of want to read this. Hold on. Okay, so to be honest, I saw that. I was witnessing that, and I was like, damn, he's actually being nice. Because, you know, like, criminal Shetwork, he's like funny mean. You're not like typically like up everyone's ass nice. You've got like a funny like sass about you, and you were being like extraordinarily nice in your questioning. So I was very surprised by that. I was just very surprised by the reaction. It didn't make sense to me. To be honest, it's probably just because you're cool with me and others, you know, because they're weird like that. You nah. This one we can go in about. Hold on. Nah, fuck that hoe. She's like she doesn't scare me. The other one kind of scares me because allegedly, probably, absolutely, maybe a pedophile. I'm just saying. Allegedly. But I won't say who I'm allegedly speaking about. You can put that together on your own. Hey, Royal Wheat. Royal Wheat, now known as Royal Wheat. Royal Wheat. That was funny, though. Hold on, he looked great as a woman. It's not bad, right? Hold on. Let me go back. You know, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not, it's just too much. It's too much. I don't want to be that crazy. I need to chill. Oh, well, that's probably why he is going off on you then. That makes sense. Did you question him after you guys were fighting or before? Because if anyone questions their blatant lies and all the ridiculous shit they're making up, they just like snap and block you. Right? They just like mute you or block you. Well, let me tell you something about Eric Morse, all right? Tell me why Eric Morse has a whole fucking Delphi dirt whatever show she's doing, right? And she's acting like, oh, let's all get together and we're gonna come together and help Rick Allen. And I'm sorry, bitch. Wasn't that what you were supposed to be doing years ago? Oh, well, they wanted to sell the Discovery. They wanted me to sell the Discovery, and I wouldn't. So you had all the Discovery, and you were on this, and you had more access than any of us for years, and you did nothing. And you want to act like, oh, but now we've got it. We've got people on the inside. Oh, really? You got people on the inside? Why didn't you have people on the inside like 3 years ago? Or were they on the inside 3 years ago and now we're just finding out about it? Oh, God. What's up, Michael? Oh, I've been dying to talk about this a little bit. Like, I'm not trying to get anyone attacked or any shit like that. But this shit is so nauseating, frustrating. I'm just so sick of the lies. It's honestly like dealing with our government right now. Like, all the people that get on TV and they straight up lied to America, like Trump earlier today, like, our economy is the greatest economy it's ever been. I feel like that group of people is doing that to us. Or they're trying to, but we're not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how many times you say something that doesn't make it true. And for the love of God, if any of it was true, can you show the receipts? Yeah. Please, God, I hope Mike don't hear the reading. Oh, God. Yeah, it's just like gaslighting, but it's stupid because, like I always say, it's like they know they're lying about us. We know they're lying about us. So what are we doing here? Like, what is the point? Like, what? What are we doing? Just stay in your corner over there, you know, keep putting your friends on the inside. Thanks for fighting the good fight. Have fun with that. Tell Keegan we said what's up. And just like, keep it over there. Keep it over there. Oh, yeah, you're talking about the Discovery. I thought I was under the impression they didn't have access to all of the Discovery, so what would you be buying from them? Just their recorded debriefings and their notes, right? not discovery. Correct? There's a difference. I'm both, baby. I am a crank / mean girl extraordinaire. Right now, I'm wearing my mean girl hat. Exactly. So it's just so frustrating. These are grown adults that are supposed to be professionals. Like, I don't understand the psychology going on there. I really don't. What does she want the money for? What does she want the money for, guys? Does she want the money for all the camera footage from all the businesses around town that she demanded she get access to watch? Hmm? Did she happen to look through all of the discovery she apparently has to try to figure out who the 3 girls Rick saw were, and then find their names, and then maybe look up their names in the discovery and find like notations of them possibly being questioned prior? I don't know. That would have been smart. If I was a private investigator, I would probably do that. But I'm not. Why would you pay someone for no work, for none, for nothing? For nothing. They did nothing. Ugh. Yeah. But they never did their due diligence on their end to try to go deeper on that. And they were actually paid PIs for Rick. It was their job to investigate things like that. So no matter how many times people try to say it wasn't on them, or we knew who the girls were and the lawyers decided, well, no one actually questioned them. Right. Right. By the way, Michael, you get shit on a lot, and I know she's been doing more shows and shitting on you a lot. I just want to take another moment to say we appreciate you and all that you're still trying to do for Rick in the pursuit of getting him the fuck out of there. Furthermore, I don't know why their focus is why are they trying to figure out who killed Abby and Libby right now? The goal would be to get Rick the fuck out of there, right? What are we going to be able to do first? Get Rick out or solve the crime? If we're not doing any post-conviction investigation or any DNA testing or any of that, we're obviously not working towards solving the crime. And I'm sorry, you're not going to put fucking random YouTubers in prison with Keegan Kline and fucking bust the case wide open. Let's stop being fucking stupid, okay? The point is we need to do whatever we can to get Rick Allen the fuck out of there. I'm on my soapbox right now, for real. It's so frustrating. I'm so sick of these people pretending like they care, but then doing things that are the opposite of caring. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when you don't have like the money or the things necessary to truly do the things that need to be done to really find the killer, like the DNA testing and stuff. Like, and no one expects them to be able to do that, right? So what should we be focused on? Well, appeal is happening now. Amazing. Hopefully that goes through. But we should also still be on the hunt for like ways to prove or exonerate Rick. So why are we talking about fucking child pedo rings and drug sex trafficking and oh, it's all tied to fucking Epstein, and who fucking cares right now? Guys, like, you guys, we know 100% without a doubt that Rick Allen was telling the truth. And we know exactly the 3 girls he saw that day and their route that day and where they went matches right up with where he parked and where he would have stumbled across them. Rick Allen was telling the truth about his alibi, which means Rick Allen was telling the truth about leaving by 1:30 before the girls were even there. Okay? Rick Allen right now is suffering and sitting in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And that is all that matters. And that is all we need to be focused on, is getting him the fuck out of there. The end. Oops. I mean, look, if it's like, it's happening right now. We're trying to get the pedo ring exposed right now in this country, and it's still not happening. But they're gonna do it. Good God. That's not even including the fact, by the way, that this may have not even been a sexual crime at all. I know people get pissed when people say that, but it's true. I'm sorry. It is. The FBI even put it on their shit that whoever did this had no prior convictions for CSAM or child anything. And that's just a fact. Which ones? Oh my God. Right, Michael. And you know what's if we had that video, I'm hearing people talk about like, oh, go find that black car from whatever time that was or whatever. Like, no, you go to the time that Rick Allen said he drove through town, and you go fast forward through that 12 to 1:30, and you watch very closely, and you find Rick Allen probably not even in the smaller car, probably in the other car is where you'd find them on the street cams. And if you find him, that's it. If you find him on those street cams and he's in his other car, holy shit. Holy shit. And the fact that that wasn't done already by his attorneys is crazy. Yes. Holder had a red truck, which I was talking about in my Flora show because Galen was speaking to Tara on a live, and she said that she witnessed a red truck parked outside her home, and other people did too, before the investigation was done into the fire and shit. Now, granted, there's a million red trucks in the world, obviously. I just think it's a weird coinkydink. God, if we... Rick's lawyers have that. Rick's lawyers have that footage. And they're just sitting on it. Did she? Was it a red truck or a Jeep? Because I know people talk about seeing Keegan Kline's red Jeep being there too. Did David Riley have a red truck? So did Brad Holder. And Brad Holder got rid of his red truck after the Delphi murders. So, you know what I was just thinking about this today. I don't know how one might do this, but I wonder if there would be any way to find out where he sold that truck to or who. That'd be impossible, but it's an angle. Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Because that would be a fucking game changer. Because you guys, I don't want to hear any more about, like, I mean, obviously we're all going to talk about who we think did it and stuff, but God, I'm so sick of focusing on that instead of focusing on getting Rick the fuck out of there. You know? VIN number lookup. Yeah. I wonder if there's a way of getting the VIN number. Or maybe looking at old property. But you wouldn't be able to see the fucking light. What am I talking about? Public asset. Oh, yeah. I wonder what the new exhibits they got were. Did we ever find out what the missing ones were? Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to the phone shit, we have someone whoever was there, knew what the fuck they were doing with phones. You know? That's the only thing that I could possibly get my head around to make sense of all the phone shit, is just that someone knew exactly what they were doing. Like, because Michael, you were saying that the on and off log, some on off logs are deleted for the day of the 13th, but then they're fine in prior days, which is so odd. I mean, that in itself shows that someone had to have deleted just those entries somehow. Or it just fucking got wiped when it was when the info was pulled, however many times. Yeah, I agree. I feel like we have a lot of angles to go down that can prove Rick innocent. It's just unfortunate that God, I pray the appeal works. Please, God, let the appeal work. But if it doesn't, then we have to get into all this PCI shit. PCR. With the PCI. Good question. Before and after. Yeah, so that's weird. That's the other thing too, Indy Cindy. The fact that something is plugged in right away, how does that even happen? Because we are watching it and we can tell Libby's not like putting headphones in the phone at that moment. They're like walking. So that's very weird to me too. Honestly, the angle I've been thinking in my head but I don't know what tool would do this, is it's almost like the way they manipulated the phone data was by using some kind of external tool that plugs into the phone, perhaps through that headphone jack, connecting to something maybe electronic. I don't know. So weird. Well, right, that should have been pointed out at the trial. Not only, actually, Michael, why didn't they point that out in the trial? The fact that there was that headphone notation. I mean, you're not the lawyer. I don't know why I would think you would know, but if you do know, it's odd that they didn't mention the headphone in right as that video ends, because clearly they weren't across the creek at that point. So clearly there was no fucking miraculous water or dirt damage when that occurred. I mean, if I would have heard that, that would have like canceled out the Google comment from Cecil. It's like, oh, okay, Cecil, thanks for that. Except, hey, there's this other entry right here, right after the video ends. And that's clearly not caused by water. So audio input output activity 2 seconds after the end of the vid and 5.5 minutes later. We don't know. It's headphone activity. Interesting. Like it could be almost a Bluetooth type shit, maybe. I don't know. I know there wasn't Karen Reed. When I heard that during the, sorry to change the subject, ADHD, but when I heard that in the Karen Reed trial, I was like, excuse me, someone used the face login and you were telling me he was dead? Bye. What plugs into phones? What? Right. That's kind of what I was looking into, Streets, and I found this weird. It was like a. What was that thing? It's like a. You know what it could have even been? An adapter. Maybe it was like a headphone jack adapter into something else, for all we know. You know? Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? I hate getting into the phone because it's like I'm never gonna solve that. I'm never gonna figure out that. That's for Apple to do on the retrial. Maybe it was a sword. A splitter. Yes. A splitter. Right? Chargers and oh, right. There's not enough power source, right? Like it's not strong enough of a connection. I believe I remember that. There was, hold on. I'm reading something right now that's like audio jack. The headphone jack can be used to pass serial data for specialized low bandwidth applications. You can encode data as audio through a headphone jack. Like, I'm sure there's a weird techie way that I'm not smart enough to know that can be plugged in there that can manipulate data. That's what I'm thinking. Or like it was plugged into like a computer or something. Camera. There were tripod indentations at that crime scene. I know there fucking were, because in that pretrial hearing, Hennessy is talking about the fact that Murder Sheet had crime scene photos that included a picture of tripod indentations. So, someone was filming something. How about this? Snapchat uploads in July 2016, but nothing 0 later. Oh. Wait a minute. So why? Okay, so she never used Snapchat? Really? Basically? Is that what that means? She rarely used that app? Or she just never uploaded anything? Yes! Indie Cindy. That's what my head is thinking is going on there. It's like something incredibly technologically advanced that only someone who could get away with a fucking crime like this would know how to do, right? Oh, yeah, it does. It does. Oh, okay. You know, in my theory, I've always I don't know. I go back and forth with Keegan. I almost feel like Logan confessed to Keegan in jail, and that Keegan was like repeating shit back to Reese. I kind of feel that way. But I don't know. Oh, all later uploads are missing. Oh, that's fucking weird. Yeah, I mean the phone data is just fucking it was messed with. I guess the only question is, was it messed with prior to them being found or after they were found? I wonder. Interesting. I wonder if it was tethered to the same hotspot that made data come in at 4:33 a.m. in the morning. That's interesting. Because I've always thought that that phone had a hotspot connection somewhere nearby in town, like that McDonald's or something, and that's why at 4:33 a.m. it randomly like connected on the way back, perhaps. That's interesting. Oh, that's a good thought. And if they were bringing it somewhere and it tethered to the same hotspot it had logged, perhaps. There's just so much. There's so much. This is actually really fun. I want to do this again. We should just have another fucking shoot the shit hour where we get into all this shit. I love hearing what everyone thinks about this shit. I love it. But I have to get going. Thank you guys so much for coming in tonight and dealing with that horribly, horribly boring book. God help us. We might have to try a new one. Unless you guys really need to know what happens to Paige. Yeah, let's meet here every week. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for spending time with me, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.